All right, hello and welcome to the video. My name is Wade Smith, and I am officially a first Q or brown belt, third degree brown belt in Isshinryu Karate and Japanese Jiu Jitsu. I'm also a brown belt in Gracie Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So I'm a pretty well rounded person. I am medically disabled ever since 2012. I have about 50% loss of feeling and strength in my left hand. So, if you're wondering why I don't look like I train, the answer is I don't train very often anymore. I only train about once every 6 months because I'm not physically able to train anymore due to type 2 diabetes pretty much destroying my nervous system. But I can teach you how to do the things that I was taught because when I was 20 years old, I was pretty badass. All right, so what's the title of this video is the Isshinryu Kamae uh, how to win any fight in 10 seconds or less. All right, so in some of the Isshinryu katas, I believe in Wansu, also in definitely in Kuzanku, there's a double kamae where it just looks like you're doing this and then you're changing your foot and you're doing this. And it's like, well, what is that? Because at the basic to intermediate level, that's never explained until you're like a black belt candidate. Then it's actually explained, which I was a black belt candidate before I got sick anyway. But because I used to train 15 hours a week in the dojo and 5 to 10 hours a week at home, pretty much full time, like Rocky Balboa or something, full time. But anyway, so what is the kamae? The kamae can be all sorts of things. It can be a middle block. It can be a strike to like a distracting strike to the sternum or solar plexus. It can be a strike down onto the head. Those are all less preferred things. But it can be a middle block where suppose a person is throwing, say you in the camera are throwing your left jab or your left cross. Um, I can block, and it's like a kamae here. And then the other kamae, it can be the basic karate chop, sometimes incorrectly called a judo chop, which is ridiculous because there's no striking in judo. But I can, it's basically like a karate chop down to the side of the neck, which is generally considered a finishing move. The other type of kamae, because the way this is taught in Wansu Kata Bunkai, is there's a pressure point that has to do with why you get knocked out when you get punched in the jaw. Contrary to rumor and myth, getting punched in the jaw doesn't knock you out by jiggling your brain around. It knocks you out because there's actually a nerve pressure point right here under your jaw. All right. And if you take your thumb and jam it up under the hinge of your jaw as hard as you can without hurting yourself, your brain will let you do it. You'll feel how much this hurts. All right. And just you can do it on either side. All right. And jam your thumb between the hinge of your jaw and the base of your skull as hard as you can until your brain won't let you go any farther. Then imagine if you were in a fight, you're doing it to your opponent, you're able to do it much harder to your opponent than they can do it to you. That's called a kamae, and that will dislocate your opponent's jaw. And it can be done about like that. Obviously, it's illegal in MMA and it's illegal in boxing and stuff like that, which is why you never see them use it. Uh, but that is one of the applications of kamae that is taught in Wansu Kata Bunkai is dislocating the opponent's jaw while you simultaneously rip out an eyeball with your other two fingers. All right. Uh, So I'm talking about a street fight, a real self-defense situation. I'm not talking about a cage match or a friendly sparring match. And so what's going to win a real street self-defense situation is eyes, throat, groin, that sort of thing. Um, Even 10th degree grandmaster, 10th degree black belt grandmaster Michael Calandra told one of his female students at a seminar that her only chance to beat an adult male attacker in a rape situation, for example, was to take her thumbs and gouge his eyeballs out because she was so small. She was even smaller than an average woman. And she was like, I don't know if I can do that to somebody. And he's like, well, you're probably not going to survive a rape attempt. He told her point blank. And she was supposed to be a black belt. And it's like that. If you're not willing to injure your attacker, you're not going to survive a street self defense situation, especially if it's a life or death fight. because they're trying to kill you, and you're sitting here pussyfooting around the fact that you got to hurt somebody to save your own life. No, buddy, you better be willing to hurt the other person to save your own life, or you're just going to be a martyr. And nobody, the dumb thing is nobody's even going to be there to see you die. So you're not even a martyr. All right. So learn to fight and get over the fact of being squeamish or hurting your attacker. That's why this Kamae is such a good thing to learn, because once you break somebody's jaw loose from their skull, they're not going to want to keep fighting you. I can promise you that. All right. So, and like, the Kamae can be some other strikes and counter strikes too. For example, when you do the Kamae step forward Kamae, it can be modified into a double chop block, in which the person that's throwing a right hook punch, especially if they threw the boxing style or schoolyard style wide looping right hook punch, you're going to want to chop them here and dead center of the biceps with your right hand, and dead center of the radius bone with your left hand. And you're going to step into it, and this is going to break their radius bone, and it's also going to deaden their biceps muscle in one move. So you're going to Kamae, you're going to just double chop block. That's what we call that also, is a double chop block. It's pretty effective. I've heard of people using it in real street self-defense situations effectively and breaking their attacker's arm. You don't see it in MMA because it violates the no intentionally injuring your opponent rule, so nobody can use that in MMA. Let's see. But that's basically a double Kamae or a double chop block. All right, I think I've covered it enough, because once you either break your opponent's arm or their neck or their jaw, they're going to give up, and it only takes one technique to do any of those things. But for street self-defense, as a general rule, you're going to want to attack eyes, throat, groin in whatever order they're most readily presented to you. And I have a philosophy that's a little bit more aggressive than even in Master Michael Calandra. He was in police work, by the way. I don't know what the law of Louisiana says, but I was always taught to defend yourself until the attacker can no longer attack you, and then worry about legal matters later. So when you get them on the ground, stomp them one last time in the groin as hard as you can and break their pelvis, and make damn sure they can't get up to counterattack you one last time. All right. So if they attack you first, and certainly if they started the argument and they also threw the first punch, you have a valid self-defense claim, and you're allowed to defend yourself with lethal force in this nation according to the Second Amendment of the Constitution anyway. So beat them until they stop attacking you, and then hit them one last time just to put the fear of God in them, and then stop. And that's what I'm talking about. We call that destructive force in philosophy and self-defense. Hit them one more time just to put the fear of God in them, and then stop.